Stop moving from New York to Greenville unless you know these facts that we're going to tell you.
So we have a lot of New Yorkers always moving to Greenville, and we feel like we should give you some information about the area. So first, before we do that, this is Alan Victoria. Welcome to our channel. If it's your first time here, please go subscribe. Anything you want to know about Greenville, we're happy to talk about it. So let's talk about jumping right into the cost of living now, no?
Exactly.
So the cost of living is really one of the major reasons why we have a lot of people moving here. So number one, just give you a quick one. Food and grocery. Food and grocery. Greenville's index for groceries for food on the national average is 95.5, and New York's is 116.6. So moving here alone is going to save you money on groceries. What else?
Exactly. The second one that even is much more important than grocery is the housing. Basically, Greenville housing costs are 54 percentile, which is below the national average. And if you compare it with New York, we are going about 294% above the average, which is way over that we are dealing with here.
Yeah, let's talk about utilities now. Utilities, electric, gas, water, trash. Greenville is about 1% above the national average, and New York is 150% over the national average, and that's a huge difference.
Meaning that we have all the bills actually for most of Greenville. It just comes with the Greenville utility, which is gas, electric,
if you
sewer.
buy a house with Greenville utility only.
Exactly. Therefore, the next thing actually is super important is transportation. Greenville cost of transportation, which is gas, insurances, anything that is related to the car, is in 75.4% percentile of national average. However, if you compare it to New York, we are talking about 181 point New York.
So overall, Greenville's cost of living index, according to the national studies, are 84.2%, and this is almost half of what New York is, which is 168.6. So you are cutting your expenses alone just by relocating here. Now, we're going to do our introduction, but when we get back, we're going to talk about population, way more about housing, and so much more. So stay tuned to the channel. So let's hit it. Hi, it's Alan Victoria. Welcome to our channel and podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Also, you call text all the time, 252-327-3357. We love talking to you. Don't be shy. Also, grab our buyer's guide and seller's guide in the description below. Now, let's talk about population.
Exactly. Therefore, population also is one of the key factors. For example, New York City has over 1.5 million people, whereas Greenville has just about 95, but some of the website they say 108,000.
There was an issue with the census this year.
Yes. Therefore, as you see, it's much more a smaller community in that sense, which appeal to many people to escape from that hustle and bustle of the big city, metropolitan, and lots of traffic.
Now we're going to talk about rent. Housing prices and rent. The average rent in New York, the average price of a home in New York was $2.1 million. In Greenville, the average home is about $250,000. Huge difference right there. Rent in New York on average for $5,000 for a 2-bedroom, probably more from when I did the research. Whereas Greenville, it's about $1,500. No, $1,300.
$1,300 to $1,500.
Right. So that's a huge difference, especially when you're trying to stretch your money and make sure that you have enough for food, gas, and everything else. So even if you're just looking at that, if you're paying $5,000 a month here in Greenville and you want to own a place, we're buying a mansion at this point. Just to give you an example.
Therefore, the next thing that we wanted to talk about really income and salary. Salary to intend to be lower here in Greenville. Definitely, we are looking at average salary in Greenville $36,500, and if you compare it with the average salary in New York, we are talking about $54,000. And however, we mentioned about the cost of living, housing, renting, and also commuting, that you way cheaper to live in Greenville respect to the New York.
Now let's talk about the commute time, right? Everybody likes to talk about commuting in both cities, and in New York, you're going to have to take an Uber, you're going to have to take a subway. You can do all those things. You can walk, but it's going to take you on average 37 minutes. In Greenville, we're going to drive, and it's going to take us, I would say 15 minutes. Google Maps does say it can take up to 21 minutes in certain time frames, but either way, I've never experienced the 21 minutes.
Exactly.
But you'll spend far time less on the road here. That's both ways either way. You will be home very fast to your family.
Exactly. The next thing is the taxes. State income tax in New York is 8.82% at the film of this video. And if you compare it with the North Carolina, Greenville specifically that we were talking about, the number is 5. This alone can save you tons of money every year on the taxes.
Yes, another thing I'm going to talk about is friendliness around here. This through us, and we are not from New York. I am originally from Boston by way of Miami, so I'm a halfback that they would call me around here. But one of the things you notice about Greenville right away when we drive on our street every single day is that it's super friendly. People will stop you and say, hello. There's a real sense of hi. People wave at you when you're just walking down the street.
When they don't know and you think you're a stranger in that neighborhood.
Right. So in New York, yes, you have family-oriented place, and everybody knows about who their relatives are. But in the South, it's beyond just your family. It is about the Southern community. It takes a little longer to form deeper relationships here because we're not talking about family, but it is ultimately rewarding, and it is nice that people will ask you how your day is going.
Exactly. The next thing we wanted to talk about outdoor activity. As my wife said in many videos, we are like 70-80 minutes from Atlantic Beach, the closest beach, and also we are very close to the mountain. Therefore, we have access from Greenville to the water and to the mountain at this different direction in the 70 to 80 minutes. And we have tons of activity, swimming pool, golf, tennis park that we covered in many of the videos that actually we talk about Greenville and what is the amenity in Greenville. And this is what we are proud of here. Besides, the weather is super mild and you have a 4 season here. At this filming of this video that we are in the fall, still we are in the 80s. And we have a beautiful rain and gorgeous green scenery in whole Greenville, North Carolina.
Now let's talk about Southern culture a little bit more. Let me just pop back on that because Greenville is going to be very laid back, very Southern. New York, you're going to have your fancy places, your fancy restaurants, your pizza spots. We're going to have barbecue and beer around here. It's not as intense, which is really nice for your heart and your soul. I guess barbecue is not good for your heart, but we love it anyway. Well, we don't have as many museums. We do have museums, and it is a much more relaxed lifestyle, and that is kind of hard to beat.
Exactly. Therefore, the next thing is economic growth. Actually, the Greenville and surrounding of Greenville is getting a high-tech hub in the past couple of years and at coming 2025, 2026. And companies like Microsoft, Apple, and Intel, they are investing, and Amazon in 2026 is going to have a big center basically in Greenville, North Carolina, and bringing more than 3,000 jobs into the area, beside of the couple companies, including one of the Vietnamese company that they bring in the solar power, that they estimated 900 more, creating job in the area for people that they want to move to the area.
Yeah, next thing we're going to talk about is healthcare. Healthcare is excellent around here because we have a great doctor to patient ratio. ECU Health is going to have a strong healthcare system, so you have access to your doctors much faster than you would in a New York hospital.
Believe it or not, we have more than 390 physicians per capita, 100,000 people in the Greenville, North Carolina, which is a really good ratio, and this is part of the good healthcare that we have around here.
Right. Do you want to talk about college?
College, I think you're more experienced.
It's about college sports, I should say. So again, let's talk about sports. Yes, in New York, you have your fancy football, fancy baseball, all your professional leagues, and you can still root for them down here, of course. But down here, we're going to say all about the ECU Pirates. And while sports are still part of our culture, but it's not going to be for your big home team. It's going to be for the college teams around here.
Exactly. Therefore, do you want to talk about Southern language too?
The Southern language. It is going to take you a while if you're from New York. I'm from Boston. We talk fast. It's just part of our natural language and our natural rhythm. But the Southerners talk a little slower. We do have to kind of adjust when we are talking to other people, that we have to slow down our words and don't just, we have to slow it down. And yes, you're going to have the occasional bless your hearts around here, and that's going to take you a minute to get used to, but you'll pick up on Southern language and Southern charm
Exactly. The next thing we wanted to talk about really is diversity. Greenville has a diverse culture, and you can feel it when you come to the Greenville. And as a part of the benefit of it, we have a welcoming and very calm and nice neighborhood throughout the Greenville that makes it very friendly and peaceful to live in the area.
Yeah. The next thing we're going to talk about really quickly is, of course, we are in the hurricane belt. We are in Hurricane Alley. We are not on the edge. We are not on the coast where they're going to get hit first. It's going to take a while. We told you we're 70 to 80 minutes from the beach. So it's going to take us a little while to get here, which is always good news. That means the hurricanes don't typically storm in. And it will get you scared the first time if you've never lived through a hurricane. I've lived through many hurricanes in my day from living in Florida. We are very prepared for these things. There's storm planning, and honestly, we're kind of more prepared than New York for when a hurricane hits. Our housing codes know that we are in Hurricane Alley, so when it happens, we're prepared for it.
Exactly. I hope at the end you enjoyed all these items that we listed for you. It could be more, but we wanted to have it squeeze it in the short 10 minutes video for you. Don't forget to call us if you have the intention to move from New Jersey, New York to the area of Greenville, North Carolina at 252-327-3357. Definitely watch all of our playlists, especially those guidelines for moving to Greenville, North Carolina. And at the end, please subscribe and leave us a comment. We'd love to connect with you, and see you next time.